the interesting things about Historic Fairview Cemetery is we have a number of notable people buried here, including Ruth Hannah McCormick Sims and her husband Albert Sims. They were both members of Congress in the early 1930s and both widowed, and they met and fell in love and married, and she moved from Illinois to New Mexico. If you've ever been to Los Poblanos, you have the Sims to thank. If you've ever heard of Albuquerque Academy, Sandia Prep, and Manzano Day School, they were instrumental in founding those schools. And we recently had a psychic here in Albuquerque who came to visit Historic Fairview Cemetery, and in fact we had a conversation as part of our virtual festival, and she said when she came to this cemetery there was nothing going on energetically on the Memorial Park side, but as soon as she came into the dirt area, Ruth Hannah McCormick Sims said, "Come visit me over at my grave." And we did a video, and it's on YouTube, that you can hear her channeling Ruth Hannah McCormick Sims and talk about her relationship with Albert Sims and her son, who is buried there as well. So we have many history and interesting stories, and we have several psychic readings from Tammy Holmes on YouTube. Our next storyteller is Liz Hamilton-Ferrand. You around? There you are. And the title of her story is Bodies in the Living Room. Please welcome Liz.
Have you ever seen a dead body? Have you ever touched a dead body? Have you ever seen a dead body in the living room? Or the parlor? Dead bodies shouldn't be in the living room because it's the living room. Let me tell you about my first up-close and personal experience with the dead body of a family friend. A few years ago, I participated in a home funeral for John. What is a home funeral? Well, 200 years ago, it was just called a funeral. Everyone cared for their own dead, in the United States at least, laid them to rest at home, at least if they were fortunate enough to own their own home. And it's basically family and community-led death care before there were undertakers in the US. So who was this dead body? John was a witty and quirky man who quietly supported me through my tumultuous teenage years, and much more recently, slowly declined from ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease. Since his family had taken care of his body during his decline, it just seemed natural that they continue to take care of him once he had died. How much difference is there anyway? With some careful coaching from a Buddhist group, with experience with that particular kind of body care, his wife and children cleaned him and placed dry ice underneath of him. And they lovingly laid him out in the front room of his log cabin in a wicker casket, surrounded by colorful flowers and dressed in his favorite frog shirt, handmade by his wife years earlier. She was a really amazing seamstress, and he really loved frogs. Family and friends viewed him, actively encouraged by his widow to touch him while he laid in state. His 9-year-old granddaughter unselfconsciously covered his face with kisses and stroked his cheeks, just as she did while he was alive. I'm a little embarrassed to say that I wasn't brave enough to touch him. It's a little humbling to see children pull off things that, without any effort, that adults are too freaked out about to even think about trying. I've been working on that since then. After this, his children carried him up the hill to a hand-dug grave while the rest of us followed on foot in procession. After a eulogy that consisted of a few reverent words and a few irreverent words, because John always had a good sense of humor, they lowered him into the earth. We all helped fill in the dirt or close the grave while his favorite ragtime and swing music played on a little boombox. We went down to the cabin to celebrate John's life and the impression that he'd left on us, with a lively wake, complete with fantastic stories about John, a very eclectic and delicious potluck, and slideshows with photographs of John throughout the years, and of course, a reasonable amount of alcohol. This community-led funeral let us all get close to what we seem to be removed from in our culture, our own mortality. John died. We all die, as far as we know. How different is a dead body from a living body? What do you think about touching a dead body? What about the body of someone that you love?
Thank you to these companies and organizations that make the Before I Die New Mexico Festival possible. A good goodbye, Gail Rubin puts the fun in funeral planning. Compassion and choices, improving care, expanding options, and empowering everyone to chart their end-of-life journey. Daniel's Family Funerals and Cremations, Fairview Memorial Park, Gabaldon Mortuary, Sandia Memory Gardens, and Vista Verde Memorial Park, all in the Albuquerque area. Estate Pros, offering professional dispersal of personal possessions due to a move, illness, or death. The Final Exit Network, educating about and defending the right to choose at end of life. French Funerals and Cremations and Sunset Memorial Park in Albuquerque. Gathering Us, providing in-person and virtual memorial services and online memorial pages. Keeper, providing hybrid and virtual memorial services and keeping memories alive with online tributes to preserve, celebrate, and share life legacies. Morris Hall, estate planning attorneys in New Mexico and Arizona. Remembering a Life, your guide to honoring a life well lived, from planning a tribute to mourning a loved one. And Retirement Extender, investment management services with a personalized strategy recommendation based on your needs and objectives.